प्रीवियस क्लास देखिए
नहीं देखिए बैंकिंग दी
हाँ सर सर स्पैम हो गई सर हिंच को ना बोले तो
काम कर बोले कर दीजिए
ना सर बोले नहीं ना अपना फॉर्मूला में प्रॉब्लम
hello to everyone. We will be starting with the rest part of local self government that we left last week. So we should start from the salient features of 73rd Amendment Act. We had already discussed these points. Election and three-tier structure. The 73rd Amendment Act had given recognition to three-tier structures, except in certain states where there is like a less than 20 lakh populations. There is a two-tier structure. And with regards to election, members of the panchayat at all levels are directly elected. That means panchayats, members of Gram Panchayat, Panchayat Samiti, and the Jilla Parishad are elected directly by the people. But the chairpersons of the Panchayat Samiti and Jilla Parishad are indirectly elected. The state government may provide for direct election for the chairperson of the Gram Panchayat. So that is the constitutional provision we have discussed. We shall now start with the rest part of the things. Okay. So the next feature is reservation. According to the Act, there should be reservation of there should be reservation for SC and ST in proportion to the population. And 1/3 reservation for women. 1/3 reservation for women at each level. So according to the Act, there should be 1/3 reservation for women. Not only in membership but also in the seats of chairpersons. There should be a reservation for women. Okay. There should be reservation for women. And in 2019, such reservation has been increased to 50%. 50% by Parliament. So all states, including Odisha, have provided 50% women reservation in the local bodies. That is a tremendous achievement of the 73rd Amendment Act, a unique feature of 73rd Amendment Act. For the first time, reservations are provided to women. That is, political reservations are provided to women, because there is no reservation in Lok Sabha and there is no reservation in Vidhan Sabha. The bill is pending, has been pending since last many years. But reservation for women in the panchayats has been given since the inception of the constitutionalization. And later in 2009, Parliament has increased, so reservation is a crucial feature, salient feature, or crucial feature of 73rd Amendment Act. And today we have 50% of the local representatives are women. Okay, now duration of the panchayats. As per the Act, the duration should be 5 years from the date of first meeting. From the date of first meeting, and that continues for Grama Panchayat, Panchayat Samiti, and Jilla Parishad. That is also a point to be remembered. Okay. In case of supersession or earlier dissolution, in case of supersession and earlier dissolution, election will be held if the remaining period is more than 6 months. A panchayat constituted for 5 years, but in case there is earlier dissolution like the removal or death or resignation of the sarpanch or any other authority in the other panchayats, then there will be election if the remaining period is more than 6 months, and the newly elected panchayat shall remain in power, remain in office for the rest of the term. Means the remaining period of the term, not for a full term. That is called duration of panchayat, mentioned in Article 243E. Then disqualifications of the members. The members of the and chairperson of the the members and chairperson of the panchayats at each level are disqualified as decided by the state legislature. It is usually given to the state election commission constituted for this purpose. The state election commission decides the disqualification of the members and chairpersons of the panchayats. Is that clear? And no person shall be disqualified no person shall be disqualified if he or she is 21 years old because the minimum age is fixed to become a representative, local representative is 21 years, not 25 years as in case of Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. So no person shall be disqualified if he or she doesn't attain 25 years. Next, State Election Commission. State Election Commission is constituted under 243K and 243JDE also, because two parts contain state election to the local bodies, panchayats and municipalities. So the State Election Commission is constituted under Article 243Z, 243K and 243ZE. The State Election Commission is a constitutional independent body, is a constitutional independent body. It is a separate body, not under the Election Commission of India. It is specially established to conduct elections to local bodies, like panchayats and municipalities. So it is established by the governor of the state to conduct, superintendent and direct the election to PRIs and municipality. It is a permanent body. It constitutes such other members, constitutes as per the decision of the state legislature. It is usually a single member body. Unlike the Election Commission of India, the State Election Commission is usually a single member body. No specific qualifications are provided for the appointment. Depends, it's left to the state to decide what qualification would be there for the appointment of the State Election Commissioner. And usually a bureaucrat, retired administrator is appointed as the State Election Commissioner. Okay, and the State Election Commissioner holds office for a period of 5 years. He doesn't hold office during the pleasure of the governor, because his removal is decided by the president. He can be removed by the president in the manner a high court judge is removed. That is a point to be noted, that he can be removed by the president in the manner a high court member is removed. That is a point to be remembered also. He is barred from reappointment and employment under government of state and the center after retirement. That is also a point to know. So he is an independent office. The State Election Commission functions performs various functions, like he prepares the electoral rolls for the election of panchayats and municipalities. He updates. So functions means he prepares the rolls. Electoral rules for the election of for elections to PRIs and municipalities Number 2, he updates it, update the rules periodically. He declares election schedules. He declares election schedules. Election schedules. Election schedules, and also enforces model code of conduct. He declares results, delimits the electoral constituency or the size of territorial areas for the panchayats. Decides of members panchayat all levels. So these are some important features or the functions of the State Election Commission. Remember, it is a constitutional independent body established under the Constitution. 243K and 243ZE are the related articles. Odisha has also constituted a State Election Commission for this purpose, and the first chairperson of the State Election Commission of Odisha was Dr. Devendra Kumar Mishra. The first State Election Commissioner of Odisha. Is that clear? Okay, now we shall proceed to the State Finance Commission also is that 243ZI, and also under the 74th Amendment Act. They together both the acts provides for a financial adjudication, financial distribution between the state and the local bodies. For this purpose, the governor of the state appoints State Finance Commission every 5 years. It is a constitutional body. It is periodically constituted by the governor every 5 years. Every state is directed to establish a State Finance Commission to grant financial autonomy to the local bodies unless local bodies are assigned with financial autonomy, the required financial independence. The objective of the Act to have independent local bodies may not be realized. So hence there is a need for State Finance Commission. It is usually a single member commission and it is appointed by governor every 5 years. The major responsibility of the State Finance Commission is to distribute the net tax proceeds between the panchayats, state government and the local bodies like panchayats and municipalities. It also determines the taxes, duties, tolls, fees that may be assigned to the panchayat, which tax they will levy, which tax they will collect, which tax they will assign, which taxes, duties will be assigned to the local bodies are determined by the State Finance Commission. The Commission also determines the grants in aid to panchayats and municipalities from the consolidated fund of the state. And it also suggests measures for augmentation of the resources of the financial resources of the panchayat. How can they be financially autonomous, self-dependent? So, with an eye to it, considering the power of the state, considering the power and autonomy of the State Finance Commission also decides the course of action to be taken to make the local bodies financially autonomous. So there are a number of recommendations are made by the Finance Commission of the state. So the granting aid is the major aspect. Granting aid means apart from the distribution, suppose the state earns 100 rupees, then the Finance Commission decides how much will go to center, how much goes to local bodies, how much will go to the state. Apart from this state determination, distribution of finance by income of the state, there is also a granting aid provision to that. So Finance Commission's basic objective is to make the local bodies financially autonomous. And the Commission submits report to the governor, who in turn submits it before the State Legislative Assembly. So as you have seen, the Act provides for the establishment of two separate independent bodies called State Election Commission and State Finance Commission. They are assigned with some important task in formulating or in turning the local bodies into units of self-government in true practice. So we have discussed the salient features broadly. We have focused on various salient features of the Act. Okay. And according to the Act, the provisions of the 73rd Amendment Act are not directly applicable to the Union territories. They can be applied to Union territories with modifications by the President, by the Executive. Remember, the provisions of 73rd Amendment Act are not directly applicable to the local bodies. They are directly applicable to the states, but they can be applicable to the Union territories after modifications made by the past President. That is with regards to the Union territories. In case of the Act, also exempt the certain states from being impacted, from being influenced by the 73rd Amendment Act. There are Nagaland, Mizoram, Meghalaya, hilly areas of Manipur, Darjeeling also, West Bengal, Darjeeling. And the scheduled areas, of the 5th scheduled areas. They are exempted means The 73rd Amendment Act are not in the the three states and some parts of Manipur, Darjeeling of West Bengal, and scheduled areas, that is parts of 10 states so far. That is called exempted area that are not affected by the provisions of 73rd Amendment Act. Then let's have a look at the 11th schedule. There are number of items that you know. There are 29 items found in the 11th schedule. It was inserted by the Constitutional Amendment Act 1930, 19, that is 1976. So there are 29 subjects. Some prominent subjects are on the screen. You can have an idea about that. Agriculture, land reforms and consultations, minor irrigation and watershed management, rural housing, khadi and cottage industries, fisheries, roads and bridge ferries, women and child development, this public distribution system. And you can add also rural electrification. Non-conventional. Then you can there are also markets and pairs. There are libraries, rural housing, drinking water, fuel and fodder. Okay. And remember, these are the powers enlisted in the 11th schedule, which need to be devolved by the state legislature to the local bodies. it is earmarked. Okay. So now we shall move to the next part. Compulsory provisions under 73rd Amendment Act. What are the compulsory provisions? Means what is binding upon the state under the Act. There are various provisions under the Act, but what is binding upon the state? What the state cannot ignore? What make them bound to follow? Which provisions are compulsory for the states? That is called compulsory provisions under the 73rd Amendment Act. For most constitutional or for most compulsory provision is organization of Grama Sabha by each state. By each state. Remember, the organization of Grama Sabha is not an optional phenomenon under 73rd Amendment Act. Every state must organize Grama Sabha under Article 243A. Grama Sabha constitutes, as you know, the direct elected the voters, registered voters in the electoral rolls. Another notable compulsory provision is establishment of 3-type panchayats at all levels. There must be. No state can ignore that. It is binding upon the state to constitute panchayats. Direct election for members is a compulsory phenomenon. The state cannot vary it, cannot change it. All the members of the Grama Panchayat, as Panchayat Samiti and Jilla Parishad, should be directly elected by the people. And state provides the indirect election for intermediate and district levels. And 21 for membership, there should be no less than it. So 21 persons at the age of 21 can become the sarpanch and everything. Then another compulsory provision is reservation for SC, ST and women for their welfare, if possible. Then establishment of State Election Commission and State Finance Commission is another compulsory phenomenon, compulsory provisions under 73rd Amendment. No state can ignore it. So these are called compulsory provisions under the 73rd Amendment Act. Then voluntary provisions. The voluntary provisions means state may or may not implement it. Like reservation for backward and other categories in the local bodies may not be given reservation if the state decides so. And the Act has not made it binding upon them. The reservation for backward classes, then special representation of MPs, MLA in the panchayats or MPs and MLAs under whose jurisdiction come the panchayats and municipalities. So these are the two kinds of voluntary functions. Okay. So this is example of your decentralization of power, Panchayat Raj. The 73rd Amendment Act is a major milestone in the constitutional history of India because it has established self-autonomous villages. Okay, so these are the provisions. But if you examine it critically, you'll see that there are a lot of lacuna in the things that the state's devolution with regards to devolution of power under 11th schedule is yet to be a reality. Many states have shown reluctance in devolving more power and autonomy to the panchayats, and that stands on the way of effective panchayat system. There is bureaucratic interference and there is illiteracy of people stand on the way of effective relations of local self-government in India. With a view to implementing the 73rd provisions with modification in scheduled areas, the Parliament enacted PESA Act 1996. It is applicable in 10 states having scheduled areas, like you can see on the notice board. So at present, Andhra Pradesh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Rajasthan, all the 10 states, all the 10 states have enacted requisite compliance legislations by amending the respective Panchayats Raj Act 99. Raj Act. So justification for just having PESA is to make the provisions of 73rd applicable to local bodies. The PESA Act was enacted by Parliament in 1996. Let us have a brief look at the salient features of the PESA Act. State legislation on panchayats in scheduled areas in consonance with custom, tradition, and community resources. Why there is a special provision? Because the tribals live usually isolated places and they have distinct culture, distinct way of life, distinct mode of justice delivery. So without destroying the same, there is a need to legislate separately for the improvement of. Sure. So what you can do in the central consonant custom tradition, state legislation should be brought out in consonance, custom, tradition, and community resources. They should not be destroyed. Establishment of Grama Sabha in each village. Grama Sabha shall be competent to preserve tradition, customary practices, and resources. So there is a mandatory approval from the Grama Sabha if any change over the geographical situation. State government may nominate one 10 members from ST community to panchayats under PESA. Planning and management of water bodies by the panchayats. Recommendation of Grama Sabha and panchayat is mandatory for getting mining license. So you have seen that in PESA Act there have been multiple provisions to protect and preserve the tribal culture and tribal way of life. Okay. Okay. So finance of the commission, remember the source panchayats are not financially autonomous. The major source is the government, central government and state government tax. They also levy some tax like professional tax, vehicle tax, okay, other taxes. Central government grants on the recommendation of the finance commission of the state. Devolution of state government based on recommendation of the state finance commission. Loans by the state. Okay, loans by the, sorry, 1 minute. Loans by the state government and program specific allocation under central sponsored scheme and additional central assistance. Then panchayats also generate some internal revenue through levying of various taxes and others. So this is all about your 73rd Amendment Act provisions, Panchayat Raj. We have elaborated. We have now a special focus on Odisha part in the due time in Odisha polity. So let us do some questions on that. Okay. So then we shall start with the questions. Probably it is not sent. I will send you. Don't worry. Okay. Okay. So we will be focusing on certain MCQs and the MCQs on the local self government. Okay. I hope they can be seen by you. Very easy questions, but the number of questions is large also. There are about 67 questions. Now look at the questions. Father of local self government in India is Lord Ripon, and his resolution in 1882. Which of the following is considered as the Magna Carta in local governments? That is defense reservation. It is the first document that granted some autonomy to the local bodies. The list of items which may be entrusted to Panchayat is given in the 11th schedule. The first state which introduced the Panchayat. Okay, now Panchayat system started in the country in 1959, and I told you Odisha started it. Which is at the apex of the greater system of Panchayat. Jilla Parishad is that the apex? Very easy questions. A person to be disqualified for qualified for the contesting Panchayat Raj election must have attained the age of 21 years. The elections to Panchayats are called to be held. Okay. Next, number 9. Who is the authority to conduct elections to the Panchayat Raj and municipality? Very easy. State Election Commission of India. Which among the following state has no Panchayat Raj stations? Nagaland, because it is exempted. Who is the executive head of the Jilla Parishad? Executive head, that is the district collector. The political head is the Jilla Parishad chairman. The Pisa was elected in 1996. Okay. Next. Women reservation in Panchayat is dealt with under which article? Women reservation in Panchayat is dealt with Article 243D, and it is about 50% now. 50%. Which of the following is a source of income of the Gram Panchayats? It's professional tax, some taxes including that. Professional tax and that is vehicle tax. Some certain taxes, it is not enumerated clearly, so just have a brief idea about that. Special representation in Panchayat Raj institutions shall be given to all of these: women, cooperative society, backward classes, those who are found inside the territorial limit of the Panchayats may be assigned special representation. Which which is of the following here is the property tax. So here you can get professional tax on it. The constitutional head of Gram Panchayat is Sarpanch. Sarpanch is elected by directly by the people. Chairman of indirectly, not both directly elected. Okay. Consider the following statements. The Balwantrai Mehta Committee submitted its report in 1957. It recommended the establishment of the same democratic suggestion relation which later came to be known as Panchayat Raj. ये सबमिशन जो रिपोर्ट है 1957 में it is not correct perhaps. A submitted report in 19 that is you can say in the same year also 1957. Yes, so it's correct. It recommended the establishment of scheme of democratic decentralization which came to be known as Panchayat Raj. Yes, both of them are correct. Which one of the following articles of Constitution of India makes special mention of village panchayats? Article 40. Which one of the following makes a special articles of the Constitution of India, that is a Gandhian principles, and it is in DPSP, Directive Principle of State Policy. So it mentions about the organization of the village panchayats to make them function as an autonomous unit of self-government. Normal term of GP is 5 years. From the date of first meeting I told you. 23. Normal term of Panchayat Samiti is also 5 years. Balwant Rai Mehta Committee was appointed by Nehru government in the first government 1957.